This is NS Enigma. Stepping you through a Henchies game because this can be a great game. You just need to be able to get through the first one. Has a bit of a learning curve right now. So typically after you select an avatar and get your deck, you'd be dropped into a solo game just to get acquainted. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to choose a solo game and pirates. What the hell? So this is when you get dropped in. So this is your enemy's avatar, this is your avatar, and your field plays out here. So as the second player, he starts with a target dummy. This is your hand across the bottom, and under that you have your current resources, anchors, tents, and your deck. So you note the deck is highlighted in purple, so you can click highlighted things to interact with them. In this case, to continue on with your first hand. As this deck that I'm playing is actually a pirate deck, it just happened to draw many of the Carney cards I have in here, so I'm going to mulligan and hope for a better hand, which I feel I've gotten. So now you'll note that these cards are highlighted in purple. At the start of every turn, as long as you drew at least a card, you have the option to harvest a card. Harvesting grants permanent resources. So you'll note that harvesting the Mutineer here will grant me permanent anchor and tent. That will be available on every turn. So I'm going to harvest that. And these yellow highlighted cards are ones that I can play on this turn. So I can play any of these. You'll note that the 3-pounder costs 3 anchors as a brown card. I only have 2. You're allowed to partially pay the cost of the play cost of any card with tents, which are the generic Carney resource. So that's what lets me play the 3-pounder for my first turn, and that seems like a pretty good way to go. You'll note, however, that you can get to this by double-clicking. Forbidden Bird has a 0 play cost, so I could do that, but if I don't have 2 actual anchors for Mojo, it wouldn't let me play it. So then up in the upper left corner is where you end your turn. Done playing. So this is where we review the opponent's turn step by step. So like he did, or like I did, he harvests a Carney card to grant him plus Carneys, and he plays a direct damage spell on my 3-pounder, killing it. So that was not a fantastic investment for me. Again, playing cards, playing target dummies. Target dummies are very cheap cards that come into the midline, as indicated by this pair of crossed swords here. That is the standard battle line for most things that most Henchies in the game. When you play a card, it is temporarily backline. So you'll note this Mesmer is backline, as indicated by the parachute, and the green tinge it has there indicates that it's only temporary. So I'm going to draw. You'll note here that I have the option to double down. Doubling down will draw twice as many cards. We'll draw 4 cards, but that is all you do in the turn is draw. Generally speaking, you just want to draw. In this specific circumstance, doubling down is going to be better for me because my opponent has nothing on the board that can hurt me. Target dummies are unaggressive, they cannot attack, and Mesmer has strength of 0. So she can attack, but she deals 0 damage. So I'm going to double down here. And you'll note it granted me 4 cards, plus 1 extra from Lost and Found. So you'll note place a trash card onto your deck when playing. So this Lost and Found is able to recover cards out of the trash. So this direct damage spell is coming out of the trash, and that may hurt me again later because he'll be able to draw that at the end of his turn. Taunt. So when avatars have some abilities, though not direct attacks. In this case, Taunt protects all of your Henchies from being attacked, but it enables your opponent to counter Taunt. Taunt typically exhausts, as indicated by this 2 arrows here. Exhaust means it will not be ready next turn, but it will be ready the following. When you counter Taunt, it only unreadies you, as indicated by a single arrow. So that means if I counter Taunt, I am still able to act next turn. So he taunts. The AI here just plays randomly, so don't take taunting as a particularly good idea there. The other thing I missed out on last turn was harvesting. So I'm just going to do a standard draw here so that I can make up for that. Let's harvest that mutineer. We're going to play this powder monkey. Powder monkey is capable of readying a cannon or ship. That is nice because it lets my cannons attack more often. Typically, cannons exhaust themselves when they attack and can only attack every other turn. So I will... I'll play Build Rat just to get more units out of the board. Build Rat summons an additional unit when it plays. And I'm going to counter taunt to protect my guys because there's almost no reason not to. Again, done playing up here. There are many more cards on the board right now because Lost and Found, everybody draws an extra card when their turn ends. So I'm drawing 2 cards at the end of my turn and 2 cards at the start of my turn. Main event is a Carney card, which deals 1 damage to all of my units. All of my guys only have 1 health as indicated by this red number here, so that wipes my board. Not quite what I was going for. But again, he has nothing that can deal any damage to me, so I'm not overly worried. I'm going to get rid of the Siren Song because he has no big targets on the board. You can always take a look at what those cards actually do when you start to feel things out. So I'm going to equip both of these cutlasses onto this poor powder monkey because I like to get the equipment out on the board early. Equipment is reusable, so I'll show you exactly how that runs. The only thing I'm worried about here is the Mesmer and the Shiv, but we'll see how those go. Mesmer dazes one of my guys that has only 1 health, and the Shiv deals 1 damage to a random one of my units. So he played that prick that he drew earlier, and he shivs and he kills my powder monkey. You'll note my equipment dropped to the floor here. Equipment becomes re-equipable at its owner's start of the turn. So he uses Bodyguard. So again, Bodyguard is a temporary battle line. So the shield indicates that you're protecting, and what you're protecting is your avatar here, indicated by the crown. So that makes it so you have to attack the Mesmer. There can be no bodyguards left before you attack the avatar. So I'm going to play myself a bodyguard, but I'm also going to use Armory, which lets me draw a weapon and a piece of equipment. So I'll play the Swashbuckler and equip these 2 cutlasses on him. This deck is about hitting things kind of hard early on, thus all the cutlasses. Continue. So he's playing a pushy mime. Candy Apples damages my avatar. He's attacking my armsman, but it isn't enough to kill it. So he dropped a 3-pounder and has no bodyguards. So we are going to hit him awfully hard right about now. So we play the 3-pounder, and we are going to equip a cutlass onto it, and we are going to play a couple of bozos. He has no bodyguards, so we can attack him directly. And the bozos are going to use up a couple of our tents at the end. So you can get a handle of some of these cards as you go through, and familiarize yourself with solo mode a little bit more. So his Mesmer, again, he plays randomly. His Mesmer attacks my bozo and kills itself. Pushy Mimes use Taunt, so you'll note Taunt. Right, he shivved, hit a random one of my guys, but the bozos get overhealed at the end of the turn, so they weren't affected. The Taunt means that I can't use any field skills, including attack, that go through. They all have to target that first. So, for example, I can't. The only two things I can attack are the taunting targets. I can use spells that go through taunt. In fact, I'm going to do that to take out one of these pushy mimes here. And on the other, I'm going to play the powder monkey. So cannons, all cannons are innately ambushing. Ambushing means that I can deal damage to my opponent without it dealing damage back. So I'm going to kill this pushy mime, and I'm not going to get hurt when I do it. Next. Shoot, I forgot to ready that. That's my fault. So they also have an ability to increase their damage by 2. I forgot to do that because I'm a fool. So we're going to sideline that target dummy. Going to retreat this armsman. Nah. Sacrifice that. What I'm really going to do is retreat this swashbuckler. So my unit's power is return. I can send one of my units back at the end of my turn. So I'm going to return this swashbuckler so that his equipment falls to the ground and it's ready for use next turn. Then I'm going to use the strongman to pick up my 3-pounder and protect it. So I should be able to take care of this next turn, because I have a lot of damage that I'm able to play, mainly because he has me draw so many cards each time. Yep, so we will harvest this Bilgerat. I can equip these 2 cutlasses onto the 3-pounder. Ready the 3-pounder using the powder monkey. Increase damage this time, like I forgot to do before. This is dealing 6 damage in a shot. And I can finish up the strongman. So that steps you through a sample first game. There's a lot going on here because of these lost and founds that make me draw so many cards. But in the next game, we will, or in the next video, we'll take a look at deck building.